Hello everyone. Every year the number of cool Hollywood films grows, and special effects play a great role in this process. Sometimes they're so good that you can't even tell what's real and what's CGI. To understand this, let's look at the film sets of the latest blockbusters and see it with our own eyes. Let's get it on. Venom.
We are Venom.
Tom Hardy is, of course, a very talented guy, capable of many things, but even taking into account his acting skills, Venom had to be made completely with computer graphics. The character owes his appearance to Paul Franklin, a visual effects supervisor with 2 Oscar awards, and Sheena Dougal, another visual effects supervisor. For the filming, the VFX team found a tall 2-meter-high extra to create the visual effects. He used a helmet with a ball attached to the top. The actors talking to Venom had to look at this ball. This is where his eyes were supposed to be. However, while the film is still in the theaters, we can't get full videos from the set, but we can take a look at Hardy, who as always is awesome, even without weird black slime all over him. Avengers Infinity War.
I know you have found something. A sense of peace. Okay, now you are going too far now.
It's not a secret that modern movies are shot in studio pavilions with a green background, and all the amazing visual effects are added at post-production in studios, specializing in creating visual effects. However, one thing is to know it, and quite another to see how they apply new layers of this new world. Apart from the famous Framestore studio, about 10 other studios worked on Infinity War. One of them was Weta Digital. Weta was the only studio that worked on the visual components of the planet Titan, but during the post-production process they collaborated with other teams, for example on the creation of other characters. Weta Digital and Digital Domain worked together on Thanos, and the head of visual effects of Marvel Studios put the 2 versions of the Titan together. In total, Thanos appeared in more than 600 frames, so the appearance of the character had to be modified. First, the team had to add some items to make him look good in close-ups. Also, specialists from Weta tried to humanize the Titan and make his forehead, cheeks, and upper lip more like the facial features of Josh Brolin, who played the role of the villain. To accurately reflect all the nuances of the acting and facial expressions of Brolin, VFX professionals created 2 facial models, one for the actor and another one for Thanos. They did such a thorough job on each character, including, for example, Iron Man with his updated suit, and of course they used some blue or green backgrounds to create alien landscapes and other scenes. It is a blockbuster, after all. Ready Player One. Of course, a film that looks like one huge special effect simply couldn't be made without the support of talented computer artists, and they did a great job. With their help, Steven Spielberg helped the viewers of Ready Player One dive into the virtual world created by computer graphics on an absolutely incredible level. The VR game Oasis from the movie is a universe in which everything is possible, and the special effects in Ready Player One are similar to those in a good computer game about an alternative reality, Limitless. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie, full of fantastic shrinking scenes and lots of details, was created with the participation of various studios, such as Double Negative, Method Studios, ILM, Luma, Scanline VFX, and Lola VFX, and each of them was responsible for specific parts of the film. It would take a whole video to analyze each of them, so we're just going to choose a couple. For example, in the movie there's a scene at the school which you probably remember. The Ant-Man suit keeps failing, so he's constantly shrinking and puffing up. During the scene the characters have to hide in the closet, and the suit fails once again. Luma Pictures Studio worked on that scene, and the shooting was conducted in different stages. First, Ant-Man was shot behind a chroma key model of the closet and the Wasp, using props to act out the interaction. Then the background, which is a real room, was shot, and for the scene in the classroom where characters of different sizes pass each other a backpack, obviously it's not the same backpack. Steve has a larger version of it in order to create the effect of its reduction. However, the Wasp just has a normal one. The shrunken Ant-Man was shot in a chroma key pavilion, and the Wasp in a real classroom. Yes, they didn't even meet in this scene, and it was probably filmed on different days. After that, Scott runs out of the school and down the steps. These scenes were first shot on location without the actor and using a motion control system, which remembered the camera movement and then they let the ant himself run around.
Hiya, champ. How was school today?
Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. During the shooting of the last movie of the Jurassic World franchise, filmmakers used both physical and digital effects to create spectacular action effects and convince the viewer that whatever's happening on the screen is absolutely real. Frankly, we didn't really believe them, but the attempt was cool. For example, this island was created virtually on an empty space in the ocean. At the same time, the film's director, Juan Antonio Bayona, as promised, used animatronic dinosaurs in the movie. The head of the animatronic workshop, Neil Scanlon, and his team built 3 animatronic monsters. Not entirely, of course, but it was enough to add some realism to the dinosaurs in the frame. And it's like, you know there are no ancient lizards in the picture, but still, the artists who worked on the movie are real masters, and they have a great imagination. For example, in one of the scenes, they needed to produce interactive lighting to recreate the lava flow falling from the roof. The LED screens would be too bright, so they had to make something more fluid, small but luminous. The VFX team decided to set fire to cat litter and throw it off the roof. Well, why not? Solo: A Star Wars Story. Forecasts promised Solo from 130 to 170 million in the opening weekend, but the film only earned about 103 million. This is the worst start in the history of Star Wars. So we can say that the film almost flopped, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have cool special effects about spaceships flying through space. Take for example L337, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yes, there is a person inside, wrapped in green fabric and with panels attached to the top. It's hard to even imagine what it cost the actress not to laugh constantly. And a special thanks goes to the creators for Chewbacca's voice. They didn't limit themselves to old recordings and decided to update the voice using sounds of different animals. For example, a seal. Who would have thought that Chewie would grow flippers? Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Some believe that pirates are not as cool as they used to be, and that it's time to leave this fantasy world, moving on to some more successful stories. Well, maybe this is partly true, but you can't deny that experts in computer graphics who worked on the last film did go the extra mile here. They created not only some relatively minor details like the appearance of Captain Salazar and his crew, but whole naval battles, and even the sea itself. It took them almost a year to make the water perfect, like in reality, and with it the interaction of the sea with the ships. The work was done by artists from the Moving Picture Company from all over the world, London, Montreal, and Bangalore. It was a huge team that worked for over 2 years and consisted of more than 800 artists. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales has the most epic and incredibly cool naval battles. The shooting took place in dry dock on the Gold Coast in Australia, where they placed a huge blue screen in the ocean. Despite the fact that some of the ships were built, they often had to be replaced or expanded. In addition, even such a cool Hollywood movie couldn't have enough money to damage such vessels in reality. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Say what you will, but the visual effects are a strong side of Valerian. Maybe sometimes it's not that interesting to watch the actor duo of Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne.
Action! Perfect!
But it's really curious to explore the universe of the movie in all its diversity, especially because the main characters don't just go and fly past all sorts of unusual alien pieces, but come in contact with them. Even the most captious critics noted the striking visuals and the imagination of the creators, and this is not surprising. There are 2,355 frames with visual effects in Besson's movie. Just picture that. The leading VFX studio in the world were engaged in working on the animation and graphics, ILM and Weta Digital. With their efforts, a true alien zoo was created. Part of the creatures were made exclusively by CGI, and others with makeup and digital enhancements. One of the most striking creatures are pearls, beautiful but unrealistic humanoids that look like they're distantly related to elves. Pearls' faces had to be at the same time alien, pleasing to the eye, but with clear and readable emotions. That's why they weren't made entirely on the computer. Girls from a model agency were used as prototypes. Several dozen facial expressions recorded by special equipment were subsequently used as the basis for the facial animation. Did it work out? You bet. Kong Skull Island. What's most important in a movie about a giant ape? Well, the giant ape itself, of course. The legendary studio ILM worked on Kong and other animals. One of the most difficult moments animation-wise was born from a concept drawn by artists from MPC, Kong eating a squid. This deceptively simple plan required water and body simulation, facial animation, complex grooming, and compositing. And just imagine this, they drew 19 million hairs for Kong, and each of them has numerous settings to control rendering, which allows artists to thin out the hair and make it thicker or thinner. There was even a tool that allowed to completely remove hair from the areas of the body that are not in the frame. By the way, the same technology was also used to create the fur of the bear in The Revenant, but scenes in the movie are great even without CGI. The creator shot it in Vietnam, Australia, and Hawaii. Apparently the budget was big enough. There were even real helicopters, but in some scenes their number was increased with special effects. On the set, they used a system that consisted of 2 rows of 3-toed-in red dragons, each of them providing a 152-degree wide image. The obtained images were stitched during post-production into a single panorama to create incredibly cool backgrounds. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.